On the 22nd July 2011, Oslo was struck by a very powerful car bomb next to Prime Minister office and hundreds were injured. Panic struck Norwegians trying to figure out why they have been added to this bomb list uh, of cities that have been attacked by Islamic jihadists. They searched and discovered many reasons. They found that Norway has been contributing troops to the NATO war effect. They found that the Muslim community of Norway had not been properly integrated into the society. They also found that just a week before, a Muslim preacher had been indicted for incitement, and while the country was still trying to make sense of this fog of war, and there was another attack, simultaneous attack, that happened a couple of hours later in a school summer camp, where more than 69 people were shot dead, and including personal friends of Prime Minister and some of the members of the royal family. And of course, names started popping up. This was had to be a jihadist attack. Responsibility, some Al Qaeda, the names started popping up. But ironically, none of that. This entire terror attack was the handiwork of one man, whose name was Anders Verbeek, and he was a Norwegian, and he hated Muslims, and he was actually protesting against the multiculturalistic policies of the Norwegian government. My second story is about this man. He goes by the name of Salim Durrani. He has many names. He operated in the valley for about 10 years. He used to move in and out. The fences and boundaries were never a problem for him. He has a price on his head when he was operating in the valley, and he is being known to be personally responsible for the deaths of close to 3 to 4 dozen young men. He is also a devout Muslim, prays 5 times a day. He has his AK-47 next to him like a true warrior. Each time he prays, wherever sleeps, he never sleeps twice, in same place twice, not for 2 nights in a row. Salim Durrani is Mike Michael Smith from the Indian Armed Forces. This is picture of him where he was major serving in the valley. Between him, his father and his grandfather, three generations, they were contributed in eight uniformed services officers into the Indian Armed Forces, and between them, they hold six gallantry awards and two commendation cuts. The young lad that is still sitting on the left is Salim's son, who is now planning to join the Indian Military Academy and continuing the family tradition for the fourth generation or service to this country. Now, when I told you these two stories, your mind instantly left to a conclusion that was wrong. You thought of Salim as a terrorist, AK-47 Valley, and your mind jumped to a conclusion which was wrong. We do that very often. We take information that is coming to our brain and we stereotype it. And why do we do that? Because we have procured people, we have petty people, we are bad people. Turns out we do it because we are just people. And our brains are still evolving over millions of years of evolution. And it's incapable of dealing with all these inputs that comes to us, hundreds of inputs that come to us every second. So our mind filters these inputs in some sort of pattern and absorbs these patterns and jump to a conclusion. Let me give you an example. For instance, until I say this sentence to you, you are aware of feeling of your touch of your thighs on your seat, or the touch of your arm on your armrest, or the faint hum of the air conditioner in this auditorium. But the moment I said this, these sentences, those pieces of information which are out there in your brain jumped into your mind and you could actually sense it. But until then, those sensations were coming into your brain and they were being filtered out by your brain. And that's the way our mind works at times. Like it just takes two pieces of information and quickly jumps to a conclusion. Let's show that to you with another simple example. Try and solve this math puzzle. Suppose that there is a racket and ball which together cost 110 rupees. Racket and ball cost 110 rupees. The racket is 100 rupees more than the ball. What is the price of the ball? Now all of us got it as 10, just witnessed a way in which our brain takes information and jumps to to the wrong conclusion. The answer is 5. The price of the ball is 5. The price of the ball is racket is 105. That is why the racket is 100 rupees more than the ball. But you had 110 and 100, you jump to the wrong conclusion that the price of the ball is 10 rupees. Now the second picture of our way of stereotypical thinking is we will usually think of the worst case scenario. That is why Salim Durrani is a terrorist and not amongst the thousands of Muslims, officers and soldiers who serve in the Indian Armed Forces. And why do we do that? Why do we always gravitate toward the worst case scenario? Now the answer for that is we hope so. We are also human. Our brain is also evolving. And now suppose in past we have two tribes. One tribe consists of brave, fearless warriors, and they would say a moment and they say, I would take on this mountain by myself. They had come to a chasm and they say, I'd run and jump around the chasm and flap my wings and get across. They would see a bright fruit and said, bite into it, forget about the consequences. And the tribe too said, when they saw mammoth, I can take on this mammoth by my son. I need my son and more people. They come to a chasm. They decided to walk all the way down, come to the other way, build a bridge or whatever. When they saw this bright fruit, but they say, I will stick to my boring banana. Whose descendant do you think we are? Tribe 1 or tribe 2? Tribe 2, because tribe 1 didn't have descendant, they died. So two elements, we jump to judgment. So judgments are usually worst case scenarios. And the third problem is with this wrong judgment, worst case scenarios, we also change physiologically. Our mind changes the way we behave. Biologically changes. Let me show you that to you with another example. How many of you have seen the movie Black? It was a sad movie. I mean, how many of you cried during the movie? Why did he cry? Amitabh Bachchan is making tons of money. Rani Mukherjee is not blind. This is all happening in a screen. None of it is true. But we still cried because our reptilian brain didn't realize the difference between the reality, fact, and fiction, and started physiologically feeling sad, physiologically taking decisions in an emotional state of mind. Now, for those of you who didn't see the movie Black or were too much or not to cry during the movie, I want you to visualize one more example. I want you to visualize that I'm asking you to open your mouth. Don't open your mind, just visualize. Then I'm asking you to open your mouth and stick out your tongue. Now your tongue is stuck out and your mouth is of I got lemon and squeezing is that lemon on the tip of your tongue. That juice is going down. Why are you salivating? There is no lemon in my hand. There is nothing in my hand. But again, your reptilian brain doesn't know that when you hear this word lemon, lime going, you can't stop salivating. Nothing. Because physiologically our body changes the way we perform, we behave, we take decisions based on wrong information. Now, salivating on an imaginary lemon may be harmless, But stereotypes can be very, very dangerous. People get lynched by mobs because they believe that they have eaten the wrong kind of meat. Communal riots break out based on false WhatsApp messages, photoshopped images. Countries go to war because they believe that another country has got weapons of mass destruction. Countries leave alliances that they have been part of for decades because they believe that immigrants are coming and stealing their jobs, which is incorrect job, incorrect information. We start looking at every stranger with suspicion that we think that anything that is different from us has to be dangerous. We start believing that anyone who is not with us is by definition against us. One of the founding principles of our country is the core value of tolerance. And tolerance, like wisdom, is the ability to hold two contrary and ideas within the same mind and evaluate each one on merit before coming to a conclusive judgment. Before this talk, I was researching on the working of the brain, on stereotyping, and I found many books. And matter of fact, some of books and shit I have told you were from the books. But I was hard pressed to find a book that would tell me how do we deal with this problem. What is the framework that will help us to recognize this threat and divisiveness? Because if we start believing that anyone who is not with us is against us, then we'll start creating a society in a world where everything is connected to each other, which is extremely divisive. And finally, I found a book from which I want to read out a passage for you. The Fundamental Duties of the Citizens of India, Article 51A. It shall be the duties of every citizen to promote harmony and spirit of brotherhood amongst all people of India, transcending religion, linguistic, regional, or sectional diversity. Now, this book, as many of you may have guessed, is the Constitution of India. Is that book which is holier book than every holy book. That book, every soldier, every politician, every bureaucrat, every citizen of India swears his allegiance. You have been taught to stand up in attention whenever the national flag is unfurled. We teach that to our kids. We have been taught to stand up and be in attention whenever the national anthem is played, and we teach that to our kids. I think it's also time for us to sit down and start studying the fundamentals which are being represented by that flag and by national anthem. Because as the saying goes, when you are struggling to look for a new idea, sometimes it's good idea to read some old books. Thank you, thank you, thank